Happy to welcome in a little halftime chat, little halftime guest, Tate Frazier from The Ringer, the host of One Shining Pod, joining the show for a little halftime entertainment. Tate, thanks for hopping on real quick. Long time no talk, man. It's March, it's our time of year,
The
and
best
thanks
time.
for thanks for jumping in, man.
Of course.
I'm sure the ultimate Big Ten loser leaves town game has everyone's full attention tonight. But what'd you see for the first 20 minutes between Ohio State and Nebraska?
Yeah, shout out to Nebraska fighting back in this game. They got down as much as 11, but they clawed back in this one. Jawan Gary, shout out to my guy, looking good. Judy Mobley's a tough guard. I like watching him play. That was a big shot he just hit. I think they're up 6 now, right? After that three
Yep.
from Mobley. But in general, you know what I mean? This Nebraska team, I believed early in the season, they have faltered a little bit lately. If we still prescribe to the last 10 games, I know they don't do that anymore. They got rid of it in 2009. Nebraska would be struggling right now as we enter March. They are
Hmm.
very happy that stat does not exist. I
Hmm.
think they can turn it around in the second half. But Ohio State is fascinating in their own right. It's been a fun game. And like you said, this is a battle of the bubble. This is what everybody wants to talk about. We don't want to talk about the good teams. We want to talk about the teams that are right in the middle that are just trying to claw their way in, and that's where we are right now. So
Yeah,
the best of
yeah,
times.
absolutely, man. And yeah, I mean, whoever scheduled Ohio State's last two at the end of the season, them ending up with the bubble boys, as you would say,
Of
Nebraska,
course.
and then Indiana on the weekend, Zombie Indiana on their little Mike Woodson farewell tour to wrap
They're
up.
playing
To
right
wrap
now
up.
too. They got Oregon. I'm watching that game
Yeah,
simultaneously.
big.
We're that's how we all are right now. Everybody's watching. There's so many games happening at the same time. You know what I mean? It's the
Yeah, no,
best.
BYU. I'm not BYU's up 11 at Hilton.
Wow.
Colorado State's up 12 on San Jose State in the Tim Miles coaching tree family reunion game in Fort Collins tonight, and
Shout out to Tim
that's where I
Miles.
where I where I originally thought I'd be this evening, but here I am. People say it every. I mean, I feel like every year people talk about how bad the bubble is, and
Mm,
from a I feel like it has never. Well, it hasn't been this bad in a while. We got teams like Oklahoma, who's 4-12 in the SEC, and people are like saying, "Oh, they're right in it. They're right in the thick of things." But you mentioned how interesting Ohio State is. They have 13 losses. They have these last two games at the end of the year. Like like I think their profile may be the most funny profile of any of any like team on the
right.
bubble because like they already have 13 losses. They beat Kentucky by 20 in the non-con, but then just their season has been so like topsy turvy. Yeah, just some thoughts on the bubble in general. I mean, when you came on my show earlier this year, we talked about Steve Forbes and Wake Forest. They lose by 40 at Cameron last night. Like, if like give some hope to the Nebraska fans about like just like how bad the bubble really is, and like you don't have to be a world beater to make the NCAA tournament this year with some of the
No,
teams that are in the bubble conversation.
that is the beauty of being on the bubble is that luckily the other teams on the bubble are also not very good. This year especially so. Like you said, it's a soft bubble, it's a bad bubble. I don't know what you want to call it. I feel like we need a bubble boss, like a pit boss that like monitors the bubble for all these bracketologists because everybody has a different last four in, first four out, next four out, right? And then everybody picks and chooses what the actual, thing that they want to focus in on, right? We've heard this. You can't be in the tournament if you only have one quad one win. You can't be in the tournament. It's never happened before. It can't happen this year. So Xavier, North Carolina, you're out. You can't be in the tournament based on precedent, right? SMU, you're out. You haven't even won one quad one game, so you're out, right? So these are like if you pick the right lane, you can argue any one of these bubble teams into the tournament. Like you said, Ohio State 16-13 on paper. If we didn't have a thing called Kim Pom, we'd be like, this team is garbage. We do not want them in the tournament, right? They're 16
Mm-hmm.
and 13. They can't be in the tournament. But if you look at Kim Pom, number 32 overall, number 32 offense, number 43 defense. Like you said, got a great non-con win over Kentucky, who Kentucky has figured out the formula where you can lose a lot of games but not fall in the seeding. I've never seen
Mm-hmm.
anything quite like it. So maybe we should all try to figure out what they got going on. But Nebraska 52 on Kim Pom, 17-12. That sounds better than 16-13. Obviously, 79 in offense, 32 in defense, which is good. That's what we like to see. We're top 40. trending in the right direction early in the season, trending in the wrong direction. Like I said, the last 10 games, hopefully by the time we get to the last 12 games, it's good news. I like the veteran, aspect of this group. And like I said to you, I feel like this is the year Nebraska gets to the tournament and gets the one win, the historic win that we all want. And I bought into that at the start of the year. So personally, I feel like I am pushing the agenda for Nebrasketball into the tournament. So maybe that's why I feel like I have a vested interest after buying into this being the year. And I'm sure Ty Lue would agree with that. So, like I said, the bubble is very fluid. You can talk yourself into any one of these teams, depending on what you want to pick and choose. And Joe Lunardi, don't you worry. He'll be on every ESPN broadcast breaking down why your team is not going to make the NCAA tournament. So everybody loves to hear that during their game, why they're not going to make the tournament. That's exactly what the viewers who are watching their own team playing want to hear. So that's always fun.
Oh yeah, I saw some Creighton people. They were playing Seton Hall earlier. Said Nebraska caught a stray. They were listed as a bad loss on Creighton's tournament graphics, saying Nebraska was catching strays. So it's all bubble talk this time of year. Some people don't realize that you don't have to like set the world on fire to make the NCAA tournament. If you're a power conference team, the NCAA tournament's kind of like a high school dance. Like you've got an invitation. You just have to like decide if you want to do what it takes to go. You got to decide like what kind of suit do I want to put on. If you show up with a date, good on you. But like if you're a power conference team this time of year, you've got a pretty good chance because it's not as hard as some people could make it out to be. And Nebraska is in the thick of the conversation.
And you're just begging to not go to the Crown, right? I mean, I think that's what everyone is like. I just don't want to be at the Crown in Las Vegas. So I think that's enough motivation for a lot of these bubble teams. Sorry to interrupt. I just had to point that out, that a lot of these teams are trying to avoid. The NIT actually looks good this year. Like everyone's like, I'll go to the NIT. Don't send me to the Crown.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
I would gladly go play in a tournament where the finals played at Hinkle Fieldhouse compared to a weekend AAU tournament at some casino in Vegas that's organized
with power
by Fox
conferences.
Sports. That does not
throwaways, right? Not good.
No, does not sound appealing whatsoever. If I was a coach, I would try to decline an invitation to the Crown.
I feel like Dawson Garcia is going to be the MVP, though. Like, can I get odds on that? Dawson Garcia Crown MVP. I feel like that's a lot.
I can see it. I can see it already. Ben Johnson saves his job with a Crown run.
They're saying he's an elite
Garcia
coach.
Goes out. Absolutely. So I can let you go with like a little big picture Big Ten question. Please. There was a lot of talk before the year about what does it say about the Big Ten that Braden Smith was the preseason Big Ten Player of the Year. And little did people know that a sixth-year guy who was originally committed to New Mexico out of the transfer portal would go to Wisconsin. And as you and I have said, he may have the best whistle in college basketball.
Oh, yeah.
That's John Tonje. In the postseason,
I say that with love, by the way. I've had some Wisconsin fans who are getting upset about this. They're like, "Why are you mad that John Tonje gets to the free throw line?" I say it. I'm not upset as I say it. I say that like as like I'm impressed every time I watch him. I'm like, this guy goes to the line 8 times at least.
Absolutely. So in like the postseason, this will be a little 2-for-1 Big Ten.
Please.
Your Big Ten Player of the Year pick, and then if you had to pick, a team in the Big Ten to make a run, I'm not going to, elicit the, national championship drought talk, but like when you look at the Big Ten, who's your player of the year and who's your team that you think could, make a deep run, when we get to past Selection Sunday here coming up?
I'm right there with you with John Tonje. I think that is a good pick for player of the year, but I've been cooking up a theory. What would be the funniest player of the year / the most Big Ten player of the year? I think it would be the Michigan State roster. Just Michigan State's team is the player of the year. Because it's really not one guy. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know who's going to do it. I don't know if it's going to be Akins. I don't know if it's going to be Jace Richardson. I don't know if it's going to be Holloman. But I know it's going to get done. And so Michigan State, the 9 players that are in the rotation, sometimes it stretches to even 11. But the 9 rotation players, I think, are the player of the year in the Big Ten. So shout out to Michigan State. I think they're going to get credit there. As far as a team that's going to make a run, I also like Michigan State, and I know that Tom Izzo, wink, wink, I just feel like this year is different. I thought last year was different, and they lost last year, and Tom Izzo was so upset, and he was like, I'm going to die trying and fighting for this. And it does feel like the Flintstones connections to this group. They're a really tough team. I like their depth. I like their defense. I am worried a team that like slows them down, like St. Mary's. Like if St. Mary's matched up with Tom Izzo and this team, I'd be worried about that just because of the pace and like them getting thrown off a little bit of a knuckleball or whatever. But yeah, I really like Michigan State. So Michigan State Player of the Year, Michigan State team to make a run in March. Those would be my 2 Big Ten answers. A 2 for 1.
Yeah, a little 2 for 1 for Sparty. Yeah, I'm kind of in lockstep with you. You and I have had some conversations about the Nebraska narrative, the Nebraska influence that has infiltrated the Big Ten, whether it's Nebrasketball or the guys from Nebraska that are making it known.
I know, man,
in the Big Ten. It's a wild year. It's a hell of a year for my narratives, but I do digress. Tate, I can't thank you enough for popping in for a little bit, talking some Big Ten, talking Nebraska, and we'll be in touch down the line, man. Appreciate you taking the time, and yeah, thanks for popping by.
I'll be pulling for you guys, and anytime you need me, I'm around. And good luck watching all these games. I know everybody out there. Godspeed to everyone. It's a lot of basketball, so take it in and enjoy it.